My name is David van Dijk, or David. I manage the TA program that is part of Boost Africa. TA means technical assistance. Boost Africa is a program by the AFDB and the EIB, African Development Bank, European Investment Bank, funded by the European Commission. And then my involvement is with the EIB, so the European Investment Bank, where Boost Africa at its core is a fund of fund. So it invests in and supports early and growth stage tech funds in Africa. And in addition, there's budget to support the fund manager teams, the portfolio companies, and some ecosystem work at large, which is the work that I do from the technical assistance program. What is absolutely essential is the sort of arrival of local capital, but also, so I think what's very important is showcasing that this works. You need local heroes. You need companies that actually demonstrate that you can start and grow and scale an excellent company and bring a return to the investors. Local success stories like maybe Karim in Egypt or Paystack in Nigeria. It has a flywheel effect to the economy. So some of the early investors, they get a return on capital. Some of the founders, they get some money, and they usually reinvest that. So it's like, they invest and support the next generation of entrepreneurs. So that sort of local success story, that flywheel effect is extremely important. And we need many more of those across the continent, or it would be wonderful to have many more of those across the continent. But to be able to do that, many investments need to happen at all stages across the journey, the life cycle of a company. And it's also good to recognize this is still a very nascent ecosystem. We're effectively just starting, or we've only been sort of investing for maybe less than 10 years, if you will. And you'll see that as the ecosystem evolves, there's also different needs at different stages of that cycle. So for now, one big theme is around exit opportunities, because without the exits, it's hard to return the capital, show return on investments. So what is needed now are later stage investors, exit opportunities to really go full circle with the investments, and also allow funds to be successful, and then allow fund managers to be able to raise more capital for a second, a third, a fourth fund, etc. The overall invested amount has gone up. The question is a little bit if that will continue also in this sort of during this economic period, or period where there's let's say an economic downturn. And there are success stories, right? So so Boost Africa was a investor in the first Telecom fund, in the first Partech fund, and the fact that both these funds have been able to launch a next fund is already a success story, right? And we hope to see many more of those. So that's sort of a validation that people believe in the mechanism and are willing to put money behind it. At the same time, those funds have not yet translated into, they're not yet at the first funds are not at their full life cycle yet, right? So they haven't actually closed the funds, returned the capital, etc. So I think that there's still big question marks about the ability for even successful companies to exit. And then I don't know what will happen at that time, right? Who will sort of, what will be the next step in the process? But I think there's definitely very valid questions about the phase we're getting into now, where later stage investors are not as present, or where exit opportunities are not as present. So even though that there is progression and we can celebrate the growth of the year-on-year growth of investment of investors, we're only sort of halfway through, in a way, making sure that this model works. And as the ecosystem develops, people become smarter and more mature. So logically, solutions will come our way, but they're not there just yet. So I'm conservatively positive about the next years in venture funding in Africa, but things will not automatically fall into place. There are still very critical conversations to be had and creative thinking to be done to make sure that everything actually materializes.